Yeah, prison food. Prison food. You're in the scrubs, you've been given a bit of bird, you've been on remand, first day in the scrubs, you bang up, you come down for your breakfast, and what you going to get? So look what you're going to get. You're going to get maybe a bit of bread, 3 or 4 slices of bread, a bit of butter, maybe a sausage, maybe a bit of bacon, or maybe an egg, if you're lucky, yeah? A bit of eggs. The egg they give you, it's scrambled egg, but it's not scrambled egg, it's powdered egg, yeah? They never put eggs into a scrambled egg, it's always powdered egg with milk, yeah? That's what you get in prison. I worked in the kitchen for years, yeah? So you get powdered milk, so this is a breakfast, you get, you might, what do you want, sausage or bacon? I'll have a bit of sausage. Move along, you might be lucky enough to get a bit of egg, if not, move along, porridge. Get your bit of porridge, walk up, get your cup of tea, go back to your ring. You look at the food and you go, oh, what? And what do you do with your food? You butter your bread with a little bit of knob of butter, right? You butter that, maybe 2 slices of bread. You try to get 4 out of it, but you get 2. You put your sausage in there and you spread it out. You make a sandwich of it for breakfast. You eat your porridge, you got that, mate. You can't believe it. You know, that is your breakfast. And that's got to last you till dinner time. And you're thinking, God, I'm going to starve you, you know what I mean? Anyway, you come out, you do the exercise, and then you got your dinner. It's all the same. First thing, soup. All different, all prisons are different, yeah? But soup, get your soup, go along. You might have a what? Shepherd's pie. You could have shepherd's pie. You could have something else. You've got greens, food, carrots, and it's all been boiled out, yeah? It's all been boiled to death. It tastes absolutely vile. You go to the end, you get your custard, get a bit of jam tart or a duff, yeah? So you've got to eat that, yeah? You must eat it, because if you don't eat it, you're going to starve. You go up to your cell, you get your, everybody's eating a bit of grub, and it doesn't last for 5 seconds. You're really hungry, mate. And then after that exercise, bit of exercise, come down to your tea. What do you get with your tea? Maybe a bit of cheese, bit of salad, couple of slices of bread and butter, cup of tea, bit of pudding, and that's your lot, yeah? This is what you get every day in the scrubs, right? If you're lucky like me, I used to get a job in the kitchen, if I can, or on the hot plate. When I'm on the hot plate, you put in all bits and pieces on the hot plate, sausages, bacon, bit of eggs, and all them sorts of things on the hot plate for yourself. What you're doing, listen, it's all about looking after yourself, mate. Don't worry about other people. In prison, it's about looking after you. Unless you've got your mates, your pal in there, you look after your pals, yeah? But if it's only you in there, you're looking after number one. So what you're doing, you're making sure you take a couple of sausages, a couple of bits of bacon, some eggs and all that, you put it underneath, yeah? And because at the end, there's always plenty of stuff left over. And if you don't go back to the kitchen, because some screws you get some nasty screws that take all the food, bang you up, and they eat it themselves. They're eating the bacon, the sausages, the eggs. Dinner time, they're eating maybe a bit of shepherd's pie, or a bit of something else, a pie, a bit of meat pie, or whatever. They're eating it themselves. So they're saving it themselves. Go on, bang up. That's your bit. That's what you're getting. That's it. And they're eating your food. Listen, they eat your food. And when you move from a nick and you go to a big nick, it's completely different, mate. It's completely different. You go on the wing and you can't believe it. You're smelling food. Because most of the prisons I've been into, like big prisons, have all got their own kitchens. What was the only kitchen that Nick I ever went to that never had a kitchen? I don't think there's any really that I've been to that haven't had a kitchen. They've all had kitchens, like Albany, Chelmsford, Maidstone. They all had kitchens, mate. They all had kitchens. I think Blunderstone had a kitchen. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't there very long. Blunderstone. I was there about 2 weeks. You know, I didn't like Blunderstone at all, mate. It was all like paedophiles in there and everything, anything like that. But say I was, straight away I went to Albany, and A-Wing, when I went to Albany A-Wing, mate, it's like, you know, you're meeting nice people in there, 2 hours, nice geezer, mate, and you're coming down for you're coming down with your food in your plates, and you can have what you like, mate. They're loading you up with whatever you want, they're loading you up. Food's no problem in them big nicks, yeah, got Albany's and them places. So you get a big bit of grub, yeah, nice bit of food. I wouldn't say nice, it ain't nice, but it's nicer than the Scrubs or Wandsworth or Brixton. It's a nice bit of food, yeah. So then you move to another wing, a wing you're going to do your bird. I went to C wing, yeah. From C wing, I went to the kitchen, mate. When I went to the kitchen in Albany, right, Albany wasn't as good as Chelmsford Prison, but Albany was good, yeah. Because when I went in there, straight to my deck, straight away, he's on a wash-up. So everything's coming in. And you don't believe the food that was left over. You've got to chuck it away in a bin, the pig's bin, yeah? You wouldn't eat it, you just chuck it away, because you know when you're in that kitchen, right, you're going to get bacon, sausages and everything that comes out the oven. Because in the end, I wanted to be a baker. And everything what goes in the baker's oven, it's just not bread and cakes and buns and pies and all that. Food goes in there, like beef, roast beef, pork, everything goes in there, but usually 9 times out of 10, first of all, it goes in the hot plate, it goes in the coppers. They boil the meat up, yeah, boil it, and then they put it on the trays, and they chuck it into the oven to cook, yeah. And you're there, and you're bringing it out, and you're cutting it with a big bit of knife, big bit of meat, pork, beef, whatever you want, lamb, you're cutting it off, you're having a good bit of dinner. Because what they do, all these prisons, right, like Albany, every prison you go to, right, they fill the coppers and everything, all the food mostly comes through the coppers, yeah, and the bakers, we do the bread and the rolls and the buns and cakes and things like that, but everything goes in the hot plate, everything goes in the oven as well to be cooked, yeah. But the hot plate, the coppers do most of it. So, but when the coppers take all the stuff out, they put it in the hot plates ready for each wing, yeah? A wing, B wing, whatever it is, all goes in there. And they finish it about, what, 10:30, 9:30, 10 in the morning. Dinner don't start till 12, 12, so it's in there for 2-3 hours in the hot plate, yeah? It's by this time, when you first get the food out the coppers and out the ovens, in the bakers and all that, the food isn't bad at all. Because the governor comes in about 11:30, is all done nice, it's all nice, it looks the business, he has a bit of this, a bit of that, and it tastes nice because it ain't been put in the hot plate. Yes, it's sign the book, that's absolutely, when it goes on the wing, it's not crap, it tastes nice, but it ain't like proper food, yeah? So when you're in the kitchen, my mate John, he used to be the butcher, because I was in the hot plate. On the bakers, I used to get a lot of food on the bakers, yeah. So I was in the gym. So because I was in the gym, I used to start it off because some guys I used to work out with used to take yeast before. They used to get guys from the kitchen to bring it up for them, yeah. But let's say a bit of yeast, baker's yeast. It comes in big blocks, yeah. Put it in their mouth with milk and swallow it, yeah. And believe it or not, yeast made me massive, yeah. And we used to have like, because I'm in the kitchen, right, you get everything, carrot juice, green juice, even the potato juice, yeah. Everything that comes out the coppers was under the tap, you take a cup, you drink it, yeah. And it's all bulking you up and building you up. And because I was on the bakers, I had to have milk, certain milk for certain foods, yeah. Mostly, everything really is water, but now and again you have to put milk in, yeah. So I'd always get milk every day, cup of milk, when I was in Albany, yeah. And I loved it, yeah. And every day you go to Albany, used to cook. Had stoves up there. I mean, the food was quite good there, I've got to say, it's quite good on your plate. it wasn't crap, yeah. It was quite good, yeah. The food on that plate was eggs, sausages, bacons, beans, all them sort of foods, livers, bacon, you know, all that pork and lamb and beef was all really nice food, yeah. You didn't get a lot, but it was all nice food, yeah. Edible, really edible, much bread as you like, butter as you like, or whatever, yeah. But when we used to cook in Albany, you know, steaks, but Albany, outside C Wing, the wing I was in, marriage quarters it was called, by the way, which I think you already know, yeah. But outside our wing, C Wing, you had the main, canteen for the whole prison, yeah. Because C Wing, you could get out there and order what you like. You could order a leg of lamb, a roll of beef, a big thing of pork, big thing of lamb, anything you wanted you could order, yeah. So you order it, you get it the next week, pay. People with plenty of money would put other money in other people's property, other people's canteens and all that. They'd buy stuff and they'd look after them, yeah. So you always get them cooking, you know, always cooking. Because I was in the kitchen, I was always cooking, because I was always getting my bits and pieces up to the wing, my roast beef and all that, you know, greens, potatoes, carrots, gravy, you know, proper meals, you know, plastic plates, who cares? You know, but you can have a lot of what we call it, plates, proper china plates. You can get them in as well, knife and forks, everything, yeah, you know, it's crazy. Prison was like, this was like, I'm on about, this was like the 70s, you know, and the 60s was even the 60s, well, forget the 60s, like the food in prison was diabolical in the 60s, and all the prisoners' food was diabolical. But in the 70s, right, when you could go to the canteen and get what you like, I mean, I remember Pat Adams, right, the Barrys, and all them people, yeah, they would had so much money, they would get people to buy their canteens for them, look after them, and they'd be cooking all the time. My mate Peter Kelly, he was one of them guys who got quite a bit of food, and he was always cooking rice puddings. He loved rice puddings, and so did I. I mean, he loved a rice pudding you could cook, you know what I mean, with the carnation milk and all that. It was beautiful, you know. And Laurie Gibbons, Laurie Mann, and all them people. I mean, everyone in there was a good cook, because you've got to learn to cook, you know what I mean. But the best one I've ever been to for food, right? If when you first go away in prison, you can starve. Now, I've been in C Wing, right, when I first went in prison, and I was starving before I got a job in the hot plate or whatever. I mean, you get bread and you put it on the windowsill, yeah? You put it on the windowsill and you've got two windows that slide open, yeah? You've got a whole window bit, only two windows open. So you slide it across. I'd put bread up there and forget it was up there, you know? And 2 days later, I'd look up there and remember it's up there, and it'd be crispy and horrible, but it tastes beautiful when you've got no food, when you're hungry and you're starving, yeah? And you get in your cell, you hide your bread and bits and pieces. But anyway, now I go to Chelmsford prison, yeah? Right, but I mean, I went there in a bad way, but when that all finished, and I was in Chelmsford prison, mate, the food, I got in the kitchen. That was my first thing to get in the kitchen. Even though I was in a bad way, I still got in the kitchen and started building myself up. Got massive, yeah, the yeast and the milk and the fucking eggs and everything, yeah. And the worst ones in there was Ronnie Malloy, because Ronnie Malloy was in the pantry. You couldn't get nothing off of one unless you paid for it. And, you know, the only people that got off of Ronnie Malloy was Ronnie Bender and the old man Tipsy. Yeah, and Alan Dixon, Georgie Jones, didn't like me in there, the kitchen. They didn't like me because I was getting so big. Everybody was petrified of me in a way, and it was massive. The old man Tipsy wasn't petrified of no one. He was just like a big man that run the kitchen. He run it. The old man Tipsy run it. I mean, the SO. I mean, I've been there. I've been in Chelmsford prison where they cook a meal in the kitchen, a big meal, and the SO Mitchell and Taffy and another couple of screws would sit down and eat a meal with you on the table. You know what I mean? They would sit down, and the food was beautiful. So you can imagine when Ronnie Bender Right, he'd come into the kitchen. I've told you this before, but it's part of eating the food he'd get in prison. Ronnie Bender would come in and take a big leg of lamb out, big leg of lamb. He'd take a roll of beef, load of pork. Yeah, he'd like chops, lamb chop, beef chop, pork chops, every chop he'd take out of there, Ron. And potatoes, cauliflowers, cabbages. Take them on the wing, mate. Give them to lots of nice people, and everybody be cooking. Mickey Green always cooked with Tony Edlin. Tony Edlin was his right-hand man in there, and they was always cooking. They never stopped cooking, mate. They was having good food. Tony Edlin was my mate's dad, Rocky Edlin, yeah. Rocky Edlin lived in Norfolk. A lot of people know Rocky. He was an hard little fucker, you know what I mean? And he could have a fight. He wasn't a coward, mate. He was a dangerous man as well. But the old man was exactly the same. He got it from the old man. But Mickey Green and then they look. I mean, Tony Edlin was a good cook, mate. He was a good cook, and Mickey Green, and they had roast beefs, lambs every day, chops, everything, carrots, greens, all the vegetables you want, they'd get, yeah. And Jimmy Tibbet, the old man, sorry, Jimmy Tibbs, the old man, and young Jimmy Tibbs, with Ronnie Bender and that lot, Alan Dixon's and all that lot, they would have good meals. They would eat proper dinners. You know, dinner like you'd never believe. Better dinners than they get outside, mate. And prison is prison, and they're eating like proper food. I mean, listen, believe me, I'm telling you something, yeah. That even Chelmsford prison when I was there, Jack said the SO and the other screws. I remember Jimmy the old man, Jimmy Tibbet, right, and the outfit, Ronnie Malloy's and when people, and Ronnie Bender would go into the office, because don't forget you had no phones in them places. You had no phones. It was all letters, yeah. But we used to look after they used to look after the screws and get phone calls. So the screws in there would give them a phone call. They'd even listen. They go, I've had screws, right, talk to me on my podcast. Leave comments saying, nah, never in a million years would they be able to do that and do this. Chelmsford prison, mate, was a different prison. Chelmsford prison run itself. Very rarely would you get any trouble in Chelmsford prison. The governor was a gentleman. The chief was a gentleman, even though he was a puff. He was a nice guy, yeah. And it run itself, mate. And there was no problems, because who wants to cause a problem? What screws wants to cause a problem when a wing is running really well and you've got geezers in there doing big bird, 25 years, 15 years, 12 years, 10 years, and they're doing big bird, mate. I'm on about big bird. So why shouldn't they eat proper? You know what I mean? And I'm doing big bird, and I was in the kitchen and I was eating good food, mate. That's why I became about 19.5 stone. Later on, I mean, at first when I was in Albany, I was massive, but then I went on a 1074, being bashed up and all that, and lost a lot of weight. But, you know, being from the Scrubs, or being from Wandsworth, or from Brixton, or from the Ville, or from any of them nicks, right, London nicks, the food you get is diabolical. Unless you get top jobs, like working in the kitchen, officer's mess, and things like that, number one in the wing, unless you get jobs like that on your plate, you ain't going to get no food. You're not going to eat. You're not going to eat, honestly, because in my days, when I went away, 60 years, 60s, mate, believe me, you couldn't buy enough out of the canteen to survive on. I swear, my life. You couldn't survive on the canteen, mate. The foods you got out of the canteen was diabolical, but now people can buy anything out of the canteen, really, as such. Even in these nicks, these London nicks, you can buy peaches, you can buy pears, you can buy pineapples, you know, in tins. You can buy roast beef, you can buy all in tins, you know, corned beef, spams and all them sort of things, and chicken in tins. You know, you can buy all that now. Prisons is completely different. It's changed. it's human rights, yeah? Human rights come into prisons, and they was disgusted, mate. They were disgusted the way prisoners were fed, because prisoners were just like animals, mate. It was worse than an animal in the early years, yeah? In the 60s and 70s, right? Going up to the 80s even, you was like treated like animals, yeah? Where there's 2, 3, 4 in a cell. You know, everyone pooing in that cell. There wasn't no toilets till the 80s. Everybody pooing in that cell, making parcels, chucking them out the window, you know. And you can imagine being that the food's not nice. You can imagine the smell that came out of every person when having a poo in the cell. It's disgusting that people should be living like that, yeah. But then the human rights come along and put toilets in your cell, you know, and so it made it a bit easier, but it's still disgusting when there's 2 guys or 3 guys in a cell and you've got 1 toilet and you're sitting in there and you're passing wind, you're fighting, you're shitting in there, stinking the cell. It's terrible, little windows. And now, prisons now, they got no windows. They got no windows. It's all vents, air vents. They got little air vents in the windows. Yeah, seriously. You know, there isn't many that got windows. And the ones that get the gear in and get it through the drones, I don't know how to do it, because when I was like, what, even where was it? 70s, 80s, 90s, 205, 206, 207 I was there, 206, 7. And when I went to jail, and then when I went to the Mount, then they was doing plastic windows with vents in them. So there was hardly any oxygen coming in. You couldn't shout to your mate for a line up to get some food, you know, all that game. But I mean, I think it's human rights that have gone there again and made windows in there, because you can't expect people to live in a cell when it's like 84, 85 outside, maybe even more than that, and there's no vents, and you're baking. I've seen people, right, when I was in the Conabare, in the drugs unit, right, when they had no windows because of the drugs, you know, being chucked around. I've seen geezers, when I've looked in their cells, naked, completely naked, soaking wet, where the heat of the cell is gone crazy, because there's no vent, you can't open the windows, there's no fans or nothing. Yeah, mate, it's like prison, right? Prison in them days was bad. It isn't so bad now. You can have everything now. You can have a fan sent in. You can have what you like now. But as I say, it's human rights that sorted that out. But the food, in my days, you couldn't live in it, mate. You couldn't live in the food. It was diabolical food. And the worst, they used to make their own bread. Now it's all baked. It's all like you know, all different sorts of loaves of bread. You get, you know, the big loaves, proper loaves, and all that now. But in them days, they used to make their own bread. You know, so, and it was all like, some people didn't know how to do it, and the bread would come out all funny, and you get little thin bits and little big bits. Yeah, man. But you know, prison is, as you say, it's what you make it. Food is what you make it. You can make so many sandwiches out of 1 sausage, 2 sausages, out of an egg. You can make 3 or 4 sandwiches. Yeah, you do. You learn to do it. You learn to do the butter all thin and things like that. It's mad. It's mad what you can do in prison when you're hungry. You know, frying bread. I've seen people get bread out of bins and put the chuck bread away. I've seen people take it out of bins and take it to their cell and eat it. You know, that's how hungry they used to be in them days, yeah. But now it's all changed. Everything has changed. But you know, as far as what I had it, like Albany's, Chelmsford, the Mount, the food I had in there, mate, was fantastic food. I mean, every night, me and my mate used to cook a chicken with baked potatoes, you know, and all that. This is why I think I had an heart attack. That's why I had 2 heart attacks and didn't even know I had 2 heart attacks until I got out and I had a real heart attack. And they told me that my heart had been really scarred up and I've had a couple of heart attacks and I didn't even know, you know. Yeah, mate, it was like I was eating half a chicken a day at night time with roast potatoes and all that, you know, and the fat, you know, like just eating so much, training so much. And yeah, I killed over a couple of times and I didn't really realise that it was an heart attack. But I don't know, it's like crazy, isn't it? That you can have a heart attack and survive it and you don't know you've had it. You don't know you've had it. It's mad, isn't it? You know what I mean? You have a heart attack, oh, and then the next thing you know, you're like, you're fucking... I remember, this isn't about the food bit, this is truth. I remember in the Mount on the Toos, before I got shipped around or whatever, it's different wings, yeah. I've been training and I've been eating a lot of food, nothing really any good for you, you know. And I'm laying in bed, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm dreaming, but I'm having a heart attack, right? I'm dreaming that I'm in the gym and I'm laying on the bench and I'm getting people to put weights on my chest to see how many weights I can have on my chest, yeah? Crazy, isn't it? But the more weights that's going on my chest, so the less I could breathe, like that. And it was a heart attack. And that was an heart attack. How about that? That was an heart attack. Yeah, and I survived. I knew it was because when I woke up, I was going, ah, and I couldn't breathe, and I got up and I fucking water. I drank about fucking 4 pints of water, mate. And yeah, because you've got, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because you're in your toilets and your cell, you have taps and everything. So I drank about four big cups of water, and in the morning I thought I was okay. Went to the gym, worked out and everything. But then I had another one where in the Mount, when I was eating so much chicken again and potatoes, and I sat on the bed, and the whole room went all about 19 colours, and I collapsed on the floor. Yeah, and I dragged myself to the toilet. And I was being sick, and I was soaking wet, and I was white, mate. And my mate said to me, "Are you all right, mate, because you're being sick?" I went, "Please get on the belt to the screws." Tell him, mate, right, screws comes to the door. Swear, screws come to the door, and they said, "You all right, Ellie?" I said, "No, no, I don't feel too good. I'm sweating and everything. I'm being sick." And another screw said, "Is he really sweating? Is he really soaking wet?" The screw said, "Nah, he's all right. Illy, we'll come back, mate, in a minute and see if you're all right, and, you know, you'll be all right, mate. You're strong as an ox." Wouldn't open the door. Open the door. When they come back, about an hour later, I'm laying on the bed. I'm laying on the bed, mate. I've got no clothes on, naked. Just laying on the bed, sweating like a good one, mate. I'd have another heart attack. And always still here, he's strong, man, isn't he? Yeah. So, like, yeah. But anyway, this is Bang Bang Mail. Just a little story about the food in prison. And if I was you, don't go in prison. Take care, nice one.